this is kimchi. It's a traditional Korean dish that's been around for thousands of years. It includes Napa cabbage, rice paste, red pepper flakes, garlic, and other seasonings for flavor. So kimchi is a dish that is fermented via wild cultures. These cultures are lactic acid fermenting bacteria, or lab for short. They include the genuses Lactobacillus, Weissella, and Leuconostoc. One species of Weissella carensis, has been repeatedly isolated and is responsible for producing Y-aminobutyric acid and orthanine, which are fantastic metabolites with great benefits. Y-aminobutyric acid is a neurotransmitter. It also produces multiple vitamins as metabolites and is fantastic in the digestive tract, because when you eat it, it is live cultures and all of the metabolites that go along with it, offering probiotic effects. And these bacteria are heterofermentative bacteria that use the phosphoketolase pathway to ferment carbohydrates.
Today I will be presenting sourdough fermentation, particularly Lactobacillus sanfranciscensis. For thousands of years, microorganisms have been used to preserve and enhance the quality of food through different metabolic processes. Among these many processes is fermentation. Sourdough bread is one of many foods that are produced by fermentation and is the oldest form of leavened bread, used as early as 2000 BC by the ancient Egyptians. The process of fermenting a sourdough starter begins when a mixture of water and flour are combined and left out long enough to collect bacteria and yeast from the surrounding environment. There is a specific species of lactic acid bacteria called Lactobacillus sanfranciscensis, which is indigenous to sourdough bread and not found in any other fermentation process. Once L. sanfranciscensis and yeast have been introduced into the dough, enzymes found in the flour began to break starches down into digestible units that provide sugars for the yeast and bacteria to digest. As the sugars digest, carbon dioxide and acid are produced. The carbon dioxide produced by the yeast becomes trapped in the mixture, creating bubbles in the dough that eventually produce an airy texture. The lactic acid produced by the bacteria creates the familiar sour taste found in the bread. More specifically, L. sanfranciscensis is a heterofermentative lactic acid bacteria, which makes use of the pentose phosphate pathway for fermentation. Lactobacillus sanfranciscensis is only one of innumerable microbes that help enhance and cultivate the food we consume every day.
Hi everyone, so as you can see, I've decided to do my project on the norovirus. So first off, I kind of just wanted to discuss a little bit about the human virome. So to go back in class, we had discussed microbial ubiquity, which is that microorganisms are everywhere. They're in and on and around us all the time. And I just kind of wanted to point that out because in addition to these microbes, we also have a human virome. This is the viral component of the human microbiome, and it is the collection of all of the viruses found in or on humans. So what is a virus? So viruses are non-living microbial agents. Let's kind of talk about the non-living portion of this definition. So the four characteristics of life are growth, reproduction, responsiveness, and metabolism. Viruses are unique to this definition because they're considered to be non-living. They aren't able to do any of those things I just listed on their own. They can only do so by invading a host. So, what is the norovirus exactly? It is a human enteric pathogen. So, enteric meaning it is in relation to or occurring in the intestines, and pathogen meaning something, in this case, a virus that causes disease in its host. Other characteristics of this virus is that it is single-stranded and it is an RNA virus. So, this virus is highly contagious. It typically takes less than 100 viral particles for an individual to become infected, which is nothing compared to the 30 million or so norovirus particles that become airborne while vomiting. It's most commonly spread through direct contact with contaminated feces or vomit, but it can also be transmitted through the viral particles in the air. I can actually attest to the highly contagious nature of this virus because myself, along with about 60% of my graduating class, actually got the norovirus the day of our high school graduation back in 2017. It was from the pre-graduation brunch we had the day before the actual ceremony, and it was found that someone actually who had prepared our food got the virus. So by the next morning of graduation, there were many people with symptoms already, like vomiting, diarrhea, fever, body aches, and we even actually had a throw up section on the bottom row of our graduation ceremony. So here's just like a little blurb about it. This is from a like our little news article from my high school. So now I just wanted to talk a little bit about something super cool. The virus is extremely environmentally tolerant. So it's actually able to survive freezing temperatures as well as temperatures all the way up to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This potentially being one of the reasons that the virus was able to stay on like the hot food at my high school's graduation brunch. Common disinfectant products typically won't kill it either, which allows the virus to remain on surfaces for weeks, and it can also survive a very acidic pH for hours at a time. This virus primarily affects the intestines. Specifically, it causes acute viral gastroenteritis. So this is a diarrheal disease that disrupts the gut and ultimately causes inflammation of the intestines. Some of the symptoms include watery diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and fever. So now I just wanted to end this presentation with something that I find really exciting. So the image on the left here is of a tuft cell right here. And so in 2018, a team of scientists from the Washington University School of Medicine published research on these cells. The team previously found that the norovirus can only enter cells that have a specific protein on them, and this team was actually able to connect that specific protein to tuft cells. So this is exciting to learn about because it's research that could potentially be used to understand more about chronic conditions that inflame the intestines, like inflammatory bowel disease. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kyle. The microbiota is the group of microscopic creatures which inhabit your body. Hundreds of trillions of microorganisms inhabit the various regions of your body. Here are some of those regions, which are home to bacteria such as enterobacteria, yeast like Taenia, and even archaea. Fortunately, we mostly live in harmony with these creatures. In fact, they can help us break down carbohydrates, and they help us make vitamins. The health of a person's microbiota is essential to their overall health, and it can be compromised in these various ways. Conditions in the GI tract are welcoming to bacteria. It's nutrient-rich, warm, and has moist tissue. And adults mostly have these two phyla. Babies mostly have these two phyla. The bacteria Lactobacillus, for example, has the ability to break down lactose, which is the main carb, in breast milk. Our resident gut microbiota help protect us from transient pathogens by releasing things like peroxides and antibiotics, such is the case with E. coli. And through various host sensing and signaling pathways, the gut microbiota can modulate our endocrine, immune, and nervous system activity. The acidity of the stomach is too extreme for most organisms, but one bacteria seems to love it, Helicobacter pylori. H. pylori is a slow-growing microaerophile. It's spiral-shaped, has multiple flagella, and most importantly is really good at metabolizing urea. H. pylori can change shape from spiral to cocci, Humans come into contact with it through the fecal-oral route. It corkscrews through the protective mucus layer of the stomach lining to reach the underlying epithelial cells. It secretes bicarbonate and urease to convert urea to CO2 and ammonia, which is alkaline. In doing so, H. pylori's internal membrane is left unharmed since the ammonia neutralizes the acid. If untreated, H. pylori causes these things, and treatments include these things. Thanks.
Kimchi is a popular fermented dish in Korean cultures. About 95% of Koreans eat kimchi daily, consuming almost 2 million tons every year. If you have been to a Korean barbecue restaurant, then you should be quite familiar with this dish that is usually served as a side. Kimchi produces a unique flavor of spicy, sour, and tangy flavors. It consists of fermented vegetables, the most used being Chinese napa cabbage, ginger, garlic cloves, Korean chili pepper flakes, sugar, salt, scallion, and fish sauce or shrimp paste. Kimchi is great in flavor and is also great for your health. It is generally low in calories, rich in vitamin A, C, and B complex, minerals, and dietary fiber. It is known that kimchi fermentation requires only salt and an oxygen-free environment to be successful. The first essential step to making kimchi is to soak the cabbage in salted brine for 12 hours or overnight. As it soaks, the salt will also draw out of the water from the cabbage, breaking down cell walls, causing the cabbage to lose its firmness and releases sugars that fuel the microorganisms in kimchi. Kimchi fermentation is accomplished by complex microbial metabolisms to produce diverse metabolites such as lactate, acetate, CO2, ethanol, mannitol, amino acids, etc. Important kimchi microbial communities are composed of mainly lactate acid bacteria such as Leuconostoc, Lactobacillus, and Weissella cornesis. Leuconostoc species is predominant in the first stage of fermentation with pH lower than 4.6, while Weissella cornesis predominate after 30 days of fermentation when the environment becomes acidic with pH at 4.6. In an air-blocked environment, these microbes increase rapidly, which causes kimchi to develop a unique taste and aroma with lactic acid that it produces. Compared to fermenting sauerkraut, the fermentation process for kimchi is quite quick. Kimchi ferments at room temperature in only 1 to 2 days or more slowly in the refrigerator. Kimchi should be kept chilled for storage purposes and is best consumed within a week as the flavor of kimchi degrades over a longer fermentation period. Thank you so much for listening.
Microbiomes and me. What is the human microbiota? All microbes, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, and their genes that naturally live in and on our bodies are part of the human microbiota. Different regions of the body have a different microbiome makeup. The respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, and reproductive tract all have different makeups. Microbiome is a delicate balance of microbes that coexist in peace for the common good of our body. But what exactly does the microbiome do? It maintains a balance in our bodies and in our overall health. Microbiome regulates immune responses, fights inflammation, and creates a harmonious balance between all of our body systems. The gastrointestinal microbiome, also known as the gut microbiome, is one of the most diverse communities in our body. It is composed of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses that all exist harmoniously most of the time. Studies have shown a strong connection between gut microbiome balance and mental health stability. Lactobacillus acidophilus is a gram-positive, rod-shaped bacteria that is found in the gut microbiome. Lactobacillus acidophilus is a, quote, good bacteria that is found in the GI tract. Lactobacillus acidophilus works on keeping pH balance in the intestinal flora, as well as the vaginal tract, and produces metabolites which are essential in catalytic activity and cell production.
My name is Shannon Hale, and welcome to my Microbes and Me presentation. First, we're going to go over a quick mention of the microbiota, then the oral cavity, and then on to Streptococcus salivarius. The microbiota is usually defined as the assemblage of living microorganisms present in a defined environment. Microbes are around us at all times. They live in our hair, our skin, and in our bodies and help us function and thrive. They can be classified into gut, oral, respiratory, and skin microbiomes. Most microbiomes are symbiotic with their human hosts. However, an overuse of antibiotics and hand sanitizers have wreaked havoc on our natural microbiota. The oral cavity is the first stop in the process of digestion. It contains an estimated 700 microbes containing bacteria, fungi, viruses, and protozoa. These microbes together create a barrier that helps protect the oral cavity from infections, but when the barrier is breached, infection and disease can occur, causing cavities, gum disease, and eventually even leading to heart disease. Here is the oral cavity and the effects that the microbiome can have in it. You can pause to take a look at it if you'd like. Finally, we have Streptococcus salivarius. It's one of the first microbes to inhabit a newly born human's mouth. It contributes to the establishment of immune homeostasis and regulation of host inflammatory responses. However, it has been linked to bacterial meningitis infections. It is an opportunistic pathogen capable of infecting immunocompromised patients by entering the bloodstream, causing septicemia or blood poisoning. However, a strain of it has been commercially developed into an oral probiotic that can improve oral health and reduce halitosis. On the left, I have a picture of S. salivarius, and on the right is the K12 strain that is commercialized as a probiotic. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, everybody. This is my homework assignment, and I did microbes in me, and I chose Bifidobacterium dentium. So let's get into it. So the human microbiome is 10 to 100 trillion symbiotic microbial cells, which are unique to each person. They're primarily concentrated in our gut, but they do exist on our entire body. So hair, skin, mouth, respiratory tract, intestinal tract, all that. When our microbiome gets unbalanced, it manifests in a myriad of ways. Some kind of just like nebulous examples are food allergies, elevated stress levels, sleep disturbances, skin irritations, and sometimes even autoimmune disorders. So the GI tract or the gastrointestinal system is incredibly complex, right? And it's like a essential part of the human body and life. So the gut hosts most of the microorganisms inside of us because it's our main function of life. So it digests our food, which gives our cells energy, which in turn keeps us alive. And just kind of keep in mind that this is a very elementary breakdown of this entire system. But yeah, it's so complex, like we can't get into that level of complexity. So first, let's look at the stomach. So the stomach features have to be understood and known before we can talk about the intestines. So the stomach's an integral part of the digestive tract, and it is highly acidic. It has a pH range of about 1.5 to 3.5. The temperature aligns with that of our body's core temperature, which is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And contrary to popular depictions in textbooks and on the internet, the stomach is not filled with like a bunch of sloshing around liquid. It's rather considered just moist, and it consists of a 2-layer mucous membrane. So now let's talk about the intestines. So like the stomach, the intestines temperature also aligns with our body's core temperature. The intestines also have a 2-layer mucus structure, just like the stomach. But unlike the stomach, the intestines are notably alkaline. So their pH range is about 6 to 7.4. So despite the similarities of the stomach and the intestines, there's a huge key difference in their pH levels. And this vast difference in pH levels makes it extremely difficult for microorganisms to survive through the stomach to the intestines. And only about 1% of microorganisms can make that journey. And Bifidobacterium is one of them. So Bifidobacterium is highly regarded for its multifunctional properties. Um, it's also considered one of the earliest colonizers of infants' GI tracts, and it was first isolated in 1899 by Tissier. There's 24 human-associated species of Bifidobacterium that are found within us. Um, some say up to 30, right? So it's like about. Um, I'm gonna be looking closer at the Phytobacterium dentium, which, although Bifidobacterium as a whole is well known for its role in alleviating gastrointestinal, immunological, and infectious diseases, there's a growing interest in Bifidobacterium dentium's potential as a mental health benefit. It's currently being studied as a psychobiotic, which is an emerging concept that live organisms may impact our mental health, specifically in managing stress related conditions and depression. Which then brings me to the gut brain axes. This is exploration of the communication of the gut and the brain. And we know that there is a connection because B. dentium harbors the enzymatic machinery to generate GABA, which is a neurotransmitter. It's specifically an amino acid, which reduces excitability and stress. B. dentium is also being researched like currently, as in this year, very recently. And it's linked to tyrosine production. So the colonization of B. dentium and tyrosine production. Tyrosine is an essential component for the production of epinephrine, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Those are like your classic, like, quote, happy brain chemicals. And while B. dentium has not been found to directly synthesize those chemicals, the correlation with the colonization of B. dentium in our gut and the uptick in tyrosine production shows a potential role for B. dentium to help treat depression and anxiety with or without pharmaceuticals together, which is like really cool, right? Because that's pretty groundbreaking. Anyway, so the picture on the side here is a picture of 6 different species of Bifidobacterium and their different cellular morphologies. And it's really interesting because all of them are different, but they're all part of the same species. So antibiotics. The use of antibiotics has undeniably extended human lifespans by allowing the treatment of serious infectious diseases. They're remarkable, right? Like we can't deny that, and they have had profound positive impacts on our society as a whole. With that being said, in true human fashion, because we can't have nice things, we are ruining the effectiveness of antibiotics by overprescribing. So the overprescription of antibiotics is continually contributing to the emergence of antibiotic resistant bacteria strains, which poses a huge serious threat to public health. So like we came up with these like life-saving antibiotics that had like profound societal impacts and then are now basically destroying that. It's also wiping out and throwing off the balance of our gut microbiome, and that then also impacts our metabolism. So overall, it's just negative. Recent studies have actually shown that a 10-day course of clindamycin, which is just like a basic broad spectrum antibiotic, caused a significant decrease in the gut microorganisms, which then did not normalize until a year later. So since our gut microbiome works symbiotically, when we wipe out one bacteria or a couple or 10 or 100 the entire internal ecosystem of our body will likely be affected. Which then brings me to metabolism. So antibiotics have shown to directly affect our metabolism negatively. So you probably guessed this, but like microbes play a crucial part in our metabolic processes, as they're kind of like mediators. So when antibiotics disrupt our microbial balance, the antibiotic then is not efficiently metabolized, making it less effective in treating the target pathogen. Yeah, so just all around not good. So yeah, the human microbiome is like incredibly complex. It's a little bit hard to wrap your head around it. I did a lot of research on this, and it's really crazy how everything is connected. But thankfully, it's on like the frontier of science, and there are a lot of researchers and scientists who are very interested and are doing a lot of research. Yeah, and like the health, like our personal health is very important, but our personal health then also impacts the general public as a whole. So we really need to be conscious of our own microbiome collectively if we want to live a healthier, more harmonious future. So that's that. If you have any questions, let me know and I'd be happy to talk about it. Thanks.
Bob Dylan once said, "I contain multitudes," and boy was he right. Our bodies consist of vast communities of microorganisms living within and on us. This giant and widely diverse ecosystem is called the human microbiome and is mostly made up of bacteria, but also includes eukaryotes, archaea, fungi, and even some protozoans and viruses. While many people tend to view microorganisms in a negative light, most of these are predominantly beneficial, playing vital roles in our immunity, metabolism, and behavior. Bacteria live in our nose, gut, teeth, and skin, just to name a few locations. The human nasal cavity, from the nostrils to the upper part of the throat, is home to a distinct community of bacterial species, such as Staphylococcus, Corynebacterium, and Streptococcus. It is a major reservoir for opportunistic pathogens, and imbalances in the microbiota can make the host more susceptible to infections, respiratory illnesses, and may contribute to chronic conditions such as pneumonia. However, when things are normal, most nasal microorganisms exist in a mutualistic relationship with the host immune system, maintaining balance and preventing the harmful overgrowth of certain organisms, therefore keeping pathogenic organisms in check. Staphylococcus aureus, often referred to as Staph aureus, is a common type of bacterium found in the nasal passages of most healthy individuals. It is non-encapsulated gram-positive bacterium that has a spherical shape. It belongs to the family Staphylococcaceae, and it is a facultative anaerobe. Under usual circumstances, Staph aureus coexists harmlessly with the human body. However, it's a potentially pathogenic bacterium, causing diseases when it enters other parts of the body or when its balance with other bacteria is disrupted. Such infections include boils, cellulitis, to more dangerous conditions like bloodstream infections and pneumonia. Most common skin infections will heal on their own, however, some may require antibiotics. That being said, some strains of Staphylococcus aureus, notably MRSA, have developed resistance to commonly used antibiotics, making them more challenging to treat.
Hi, I'm Sanai, and I decided to work on the Microbes and Me homework assignment. The human microbiota includes all the microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, archaea, and eukaryotes that live within and outside our bodies. Internal tissues, such as the brain, muscles, or blood, are usually free of microorganisms, but surface tissues, such as the skin and the mucous membranes, are always in contact with environmental microorganisms. Some benefits of the microbiota are that it synthesizes vitamins and amino acids. It also protects against pathogens, and it also prevents overgrowth of harmful microorganisms. This can happen through drinking or eating contaminated water or food. Imbalances can also lead to conditions such as dysbiosis. and imbalances usually occur due to one's diet changes, medication, and other factors. The skin microbiome is cold, acidic, and a dry environment place. Microorganisms in the skin fight infection by maintaining acidity with germs they don't like. Factors affecting this microbe are diet, exposure to UV light, and the environment. Imbalances can also lead to eczema, acne, psoriasis, and psoriasis. Staphylococcus aureus is found in the skin or mucous membrane. This is a gram-positive bacteria. It also has cocky-shaped clusters, which many describe as grape-like, and it also is a facultative anaerobic. Skin-to-skin contact can also allow the bacteria to spread. Some causes or diseases or skin infections that this can cause are boils, cellulitis, and impetigo. Thank you.
All right, so the human microbiota is a set of organisms inhabiting and interacting with our body and is responsible for the launching of the immune system, affecting inflammatory homeostasis and immune regulation. Antibiotics have an effect on our bodies, especially our gut health, and can give us certain side effects such as diarrhea. Clindamycin is a very common antibiotic that can cause this. Some lifestyle impacts on the microbiota are diets. There's a study on plant-based and animal-based diets where stool samples were taken, and animal-based diets were linked to growing microorganisms that can trigger inflammatory bowel disease. The stomach has an acidic pH with a warm temperature and is moist. Its available nutrients are food. Some factors that can cause changes to our body due to our stomach are our diets, like I previously talked about before. It can have health effects such as diarrhea and disease. Now, Prevotella is a genus of gram-negative bacteria that inhabit our stomachs, and they are obligate anaerobes, and they are related to bacteroids, which both play a role in protein metabolism and food breakdown, specifically plant-rich diets. And they have characteristics of gram-negative obligate anaerobes that are non-sporing, show pleomorphic short cocoa rods to long irregular rod-shaped cells, and they can also change their morphology due to environmental factors. Okay, I think that was 2 minutes.
Toast to the yeast, yeast.
Oh, the
yeast.
wonders of fermentation as Cerevisiae takes its station, transforming juice to wine, a symphony of flavors that taste so fine. In the vineyards, the grapes hang in the sun. The time is ripe, the harvest, yeah, it has begun. With anticipation, we wait only to see the magic that happens in wine reality. As Cerevisiae, a microscopic star, the catalyst of change, spreading near and far. With its tender embrace, it awakens the grapes, unlocking their secrets in its yeasty escapes. Oh, the wonders of fermentation as Cerevisiae takes its station, transforming juice to wine, a symphony of flavors that taste so fine. Through the process of anaerobic respiration, you thrive, breaking down glucose, the sugars you derive, releasing energy, CO2 and ethanol as the grape juice bubbles and starts to enthrall. Within your tiny cells, enzymes work their magic, breaking down the sugars. It's truly fantastic. Ethanol, the product that we adore, the heart of the wine, forevermore. Oh, the wonders of fermentation as Cerevisiae takes its station, transforming juice to wine, a symphony of flavors that taste so fine. As time goes by, the wine ages with grace, complexity deepens with each passing embrace. Thank you, Cerevisiae, for this gift so fine. In every glass of wine, your presence shines.
From fruity notes to hints of oak, each sip tells a story as the flavors evoke. Sugar molecules rearrange, you see, into alcohol, aroma, and taste of possibilities. Temperatures rise, the frenzy does commence, transforming juice into liquid essence. From vine to glass, a funk is so grand. Sip it on back from the glass in your hand.
Oh, the
your hand, your
wonders
hand,
of fermentation as Cerevisiae takes its station, transforming juice to wine, a symphony of flavors that taste so fine. Raise your glass, let your senses entwine, celebrate the magic of Cerevisiae's rhyme. In every bottle, a tale to be savored, of wine and time forever intertwined. Yo, 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 toast to the yeast. Abby P, out.